We've been friends since the age of 18, and we met at Barnard College. You came from Mexico City. I came from Iranian parents from the city of Mashhad. You were a comparative religion major. I was an art history major. On the surface, it sounded like we had a lot of differences. However, we didn't. We gravitated towards one another. We stayed in touch for 50 years. You lived in Santiago, Chile. I lived in Manhattan. We each discovered that we were in the same field. You became a psychoanalyst. I became a psychoanalytic psychotherapist. 5 years ago, we would meet off and on, but 5 years ago, we met in a coffee shop and we were catching up. And we each told the other that we're writing a memoir. And we were surprised that we had found that we decided to do it at the same time. And so we started discussing our memoirs and spent the past 5 years supporting each other's process. Now that your book is written, published, out in the world, what would you say your memoir entitled In Another Place, With and Without My Father, Norman Mailer, is all about?
Well, I'd like to go back to the title, Esther. The title is In Another Place, With and Without My Father, Norman Mailer. When I first started writing the book, I thought it would be about my father, Norman Mailer, and that I would like to bring out those qualities as a father that he had and that were very much in the dark for most of the people who knew him, because most of the people who heard about him knew of him as a celebrity, as a pugnacious debater, a fighter, a violent man, egotistical person, etc. But very few people knew about him as a father. And so I started with writing the book with that idea in mind. But now that I've finished the book, I would say that the title In Another Place is what it's really about. It's about me. It's about growing up in two different worlds. It's about never really belonging anywhere totally. Not that other people noticed, because most people in Mexico thought that I belonged in Mexico, and everyone in New York thought that I belonged in New York. But it's the internal sensation of not totally belonging in a place where you are, and that has not only to do with I would say physical or geographical belonging. It also has to do with an emotional belonging, and it also has to do with where your mind is. My mind was usually in another place, either longing to be in Mexico or wanting to be with Dad and the Mailer family in New York or in Provincetown. And so I would say that in the end, now that I've written the book, it's been published, and I've had time to think about it and meditate about it, I would say that it's actually about what it means to be a child of divorced parents at a very early age, of growing up in two places with two different languages, two different, very, very different cultures, and trying to fit in both places. I think it's a book that speaks to so many people who've come to the United States and have tried to fit in, and have been in that in-between situation. Mexican Americans, even you, Esther, you know, your own history, your parents who came from Iran, and you were born here. I mean, in the United States. Since I say here, I'm in Chile, so I meant in New York. So I would say in the end that that's what my book is about. It's about belonging. It's about separation. It's about early trauma. And about being able to overcome all those difficulties and feel at the end of my life that, you know, at this point in my life, not at the end, but I hope, but at this point of my life, that I belong to two places. I am those two places,
Uh-huh.
see? And now I am also a part of Chile.